Hi guys, it's Veronica, and I'm going to do a video on the court cards for my deck that I'm making. It is a meme deck, but the court cards are not memes. Now, I see the courts as representing an aspect of one of the 16 psychological personality types. I did use Myers-Briggs as my my basis for this, but I'm not going to have like INFJ on the cards or something like that. INFJ is the mystic counselor. That's what will actually be on the card, and the meaning of it is the depths of the subconscious. First we're going to go, so it's one of those types, or I see the cards as if a court card comes up, it is a certain stage of a process. You're in a certain stage, and that is, I can tell that by the elements. So it's about 50-50 when it comes up. Rarely is a court card like, yes, that's the Queen of Swords. It's always my grandmother. That happens sometimes. Or my husband is the Knight of Pentacles. But usually it's an aspect of a personality. And depending on where in the spread or what the question is, that gives you the answer, whether it's part of a process or a part of a personality, and all of which are gender neutral. That's why I wanted to get away from the my deck, calling them pages or knights and kings and queens, because it puts something, it puts that gender in there that I don't see in the cards, either way that I read them. So the Myers-Briggs, if you don't know your Myers-Briggs number, you might want to stop the video and go take a quick test, but I am going to go through the 4 letters that are the functions that will quickly explain it. The first one is introvert versus extrovert, and that is not how you behave in the world. That is more I or E. It's how you gain and use your strength. But like an introvert needs their alone time to gain their strength, where an extrovert needs interaction with other people. Now, I'm a social introvert. If people were to meet me in certain situations, they would swear I'm not an introvert. But I can only do that because I need my alone time to gather my strength. Extroverts are action-oriented. They seek the breadth of knowledge and influence, where introverts seek the depth of it. And where extroverts are action-oriented, introverts are thought-oriented. Extroverts prefer more frequent interaction, and introverts prefer more substantial interaction. Extroverts recharge and get their energy from spending time with people, and introverts recharge and get their energy from spending time alone. They consume their energy spending it with other people. So it's the source and direction of a person's energy expression. So that is where you get your first letter, your I or your E. And completely, again, gender neutral. Now, the center 2 letters that's the function, and that is where I get my quartz. There's you're either sensing or intuitive, that's the first of the function, or you're feeling and thinking. So the difference between sensing and intuitive, so this will be the second letter but the first in the function, is how someone perceives information. Sensing means that a person mainly believes information he or she receives directly from the external world, what they see, hear, and feel, the tangible. Where an intuitive, which we use an N because we've already used the I for the introvert and extrovert, an N, the intuitive, means that a person mainly believes information he or she receives from the internal or imaginative world. So even the information we take in, I'm an intuitive. An intuitive, they see the world through their own filters. Even the information that they take it in through their own filters, where sensors don't have that. They've taken the information based on what they literally see and feel. And the second letter in the function, the thinking feeling, is how they process this information. This is how a person makes decisions. And the thinking person mainly makes their decisions through logic, where a feeler, they, as a rule, make a decision based on emotion, based on how they feel. So that gives us our 4 functions. An intuitive feeler is an idealist, and that's the cups. Intuitive thinkers are rationals, and that's the swords. Sensing feelers are the artisans, and that's the wands. Sensing thinkers are the pentacles, which are the guardians. I move it around to make sure I'm in frame because I have the camera set way up there. So the fourth letter is judging and perceiving, and this is the one that people usually get mixed up because the way it's perceived. Judgers like to be organized and have their life kind of planned, stick with the plans, and they don't like to be blindsided and once the plans are laid down. Where perceivers are more inclined to improvise and explore other options. When blindsided, they simply go with the flow and adjust the plan. It influences greatly how you act in the world. I liked where I saw somewhere I was reading, judgers and perceivers. While these might seem to include symptoms like the judgers like organization and keeping their rooms clean. I like organization, but that doesn't mean I'm as organized as I want to be. And some P's like acting spontaneous and not minding a mess. They're not exactly the qualifiers. Judgers focus on direction and action, and they prefer to plan and act first. They're more decisive and carry their plans of action, but need to remember to slow down and explore all the options before going forward. Where perceivers focus on exploration and prefer to react and decide on the go. They tend to explore more of the options, but need to reorganize, recognize when to stop information gathering in order to make a decision and then act on it. So those are the four letters. Now we're going to look at the functions. Let's just concentrate on how I got to, because you look online and people have correlated the quartz with the Myers-Briggs or Kiersey, but I didn't see anyone that did it the way I do it, and it seems so simple to me. The easy one was the functions, the sensing feelers and the sensing thinkers. Now, both artisans and guardians are sensing, but the difference between the artisans being the sensing feelers and the guardians being the sensing thinkers are artisans and guardians both say what it is, but the artisan does what works for them, and the guardian does what's right logically. The rationalist and the idealist have the intuitive side. They see through their own lens what they take in, so they both see what's possible. But as far as how they act and decisions, the rationalist will do what works logically, while the idealist does what's right to them. Another way to look at the difference here is, again, the sensors, the guardians, which are the sensing thinkers, artisans, sensing feelers. Both of them focus their attention on facts, but how they handle it, the guardians handle it with non-personal analysis. The feelers, sensing feelers, artisans handle it with personal warmth. What they tend to become, the guardians, practical and matter-of-fact. The artisans, sympathetic and friendly. Now the intuitives, you've got the intuitive feeler, intuitive thinkers. Both of them focus on possibilities. They see possibilities, not just facts. But the idealist handle it with personal warmth. The rationalists handle it with non-personal analysis. The idealists, they tend to become enthusiastic and insightful, while the rationalists tend to become logical and ingenious. So that still meant putting which ones are the introverts, which ones are the perceivers, and that is done all different ways. How I did it was I put pieces of paper that had the characteristics of each of those 16 personality types, and without the label on them, I matched them to what I know of the quartz and the things that we all, when we look at the Page of Swords, what we think of, you know. So I did that without using the labels, and a pattern emerged, and I did it different times with different characteristics, different ways, and a pattern emerged where it was just overwhelmingly the pages. Here's the idealist. I have I don't know how to say it, but the intuitive feelers are the idealist, the intuitive thinkers, the rationals, the sensing feelers, the artisans, the sensing thinkers, the guardians. Far and above, the introverted perceivers were pages. introverts tended to be the pages and the queens. And then the extroverts, the knights and the kings. The perceivers, the pages and the knights, and the judgers, the queens and the kings. Now, keep in mind, this is gender neutral, but it fit with the court cards as a progression, as it fit in every way, and it fit with each suit. So I did the same thing with each suit. So that meant that the Page of Cups became the idealist or the healer. The Knight of Cups became the inspirer, the champion. The Queen of Cups, the mystic counselor. The King of Cups, the giver, teacher. The Page of Swords, the thinker, architect. The Knight of Swords, the visionary, inventor. The Queen of Swords, the scientist, mastermind. The King of Swords, the executive or field marshal. The Page of Wands, the artist, composer. The Knight of Wands, the performer. The Queen of Wands, the nurturer, protector. The King of Wands, the caregiver, provider. The Page of Discs, the mechanic, the craftsman. The Knight of Discs, the doer, promoter. The Queen of Discs, the duty fulfiller, reliant. And the King of Discs, the enforcer, the supervisor. So in my deck, I named my courts after that. And I came across something and I used it. I only changed a couple of them, but the Page of Swords. And this is going with how I match them up to the 16 psychological. Now they're stereotypes, of course. In the real world, it's not going to hit every mark, but it works for tarot because what are the tarot court cards except 16 psychological profiles? So going in with, it's the same one, the Page of Cups as the idealist. That is the idealist. The Page of Cups here would be the muse within the dream. The Knight of Cups, the savior and grail seeker. The Queen of Cups, depth of the subconscious. King of Cups, healing with active compassion. Page of Swords, fixation of new ideas. Knight of Swords, charging into the fray. The Queen of Swords, cold teacher of wisdom. King of Swords, strategy and action. Page of Wands, ignition of the fire. Knight of Wands, passion-fueled adventurer. Queen of Wands, fiery compassion. King of Wands, center of the sun. Page of Cups, we already went through that. Muse within the dream, grail seeker. Depths of the subconscious for the Queen of Cups. Healing with active compassion for the King. Page of Pentacles, the womb of all physical things. Knight of Pentacles, stone guardian. Queen of Pentacles, Mother Earth. King of Pentacles, master of the world. Now, and I'll get to it when we get there. By Mother Earth or the Queen of Pentacles, we're not talking about like the Empress kind of Mother Earth. No, we're talking about the rules of nature will be followed and obeyed. When people talk about saving the earth, and you need to flip that. You need to talk about saving humanity, because Mother Earth will be here when all traces of humanity is gone at the rate we're going. That's the Mother Earth I'm talking about with the Queen of Pentacles. So, I went through and I have in my notebook, I have so many things on each personality type. Quotes, and there's my Knight of Swords. But, okay, it says don't be a dick, just be nice. But, for the purpose of action, nothing is more useful than narrowness of thought combined with energy of will. There are strengths and weaknesses in every personality. And, like the Queen of Swords, I could go through each one and give you like the top 10 most likely, and how they're seen. And I could go further into it in another video, but I just want to just hit the bullet points with this one and explain how I got to where I was. I love, here's the Queen of Discs. I adore spontaneity, providing it is carefully planned. Or Spock, not only did you violate the rules, you also failed to understand the principal lesson. So we can go more in depth into those, but first I'm going to show you the cards, and then we'll talk about the elements. So the cards I have laid down here are the things we already said. Like, this is my rationals, artisans, my idealist, and the guardians. And I put just the things that I read to you. The name of each one, like the performer, passion-filled adventurer. This would be the Knight of Wands. So we're going to go through and I will show you, these aren't my courts. I'll show you what my courts are. So here is the Page of Swords, which is INTP, but the Architect, and that's the fixation of new ideas. My Page of Swords is Einstein. So we're going to set him there. Then we've got the Knight of Swords, the ENTP, the Visionary, charging into the fray. So for mine, that is Bill Maher. I'll put him right there. Queen of Swords, INTJ, the Mastermind, cold teacher of wisdom. Eminem. The King of Swords, ENTJ, executive, strategy and action. And Madeleine Albright. As you can see, I'm going to do each suit in a different kind of color scheme and all that, but you can tell their rank or their element by the color. I use the same font but use different colors. So, and keeping with the theme, I used people that have that personality type, or it's the major consensus by their quotes and by how they act. And I mix it up. Like Eminem's the Queen of Swords, but Madeleine Albright is the King of Swords. So now we're in the artisans. The Page of Wands, ISFP, the composer, artist, ignition of the fire. I made my courts a year ago, and Prince has always been my Page of Wands. The Knight of Wands, ESFP, the performer, the passion-fueled adventurer. This one was fun. When I saw him on the list, Bill Clinton had to be my performer. So, the Queen of Wands, ISFJ, the nurturer, protector, fiery compassion. I had Mother Teresa, and my husband, who is very, very much behind me with this deck that I'm making, he just almost begged me not to use Mother Teresa because of, he said, yeah, but have you read the things she really did? I said, but that's part of the Queen of Wands. There's not, it's not a good personality or bad personality. I thought that dichotomy showed exactly what the Queen of Wands is, the fiery and the water. But he couldn't stand it. So I sent a list to my best friend. Here's some people that have this personality type. Which one? So she gave me either Kate Middleton or Jimmy Carter. And I went with Jimmy Carter as my nurturer protector. So the King of Wands is the ESFJ, the provider, the center of the sun. And he is, Dave Grohl, my man. This man, I've seen the Foo Fighters in concert, like, several times. And their last concert, they don't, tour endlessly like they used to. They have families and all that. So when they tour, it's a big deal. And I went to, towards the end of the tour, went to Atlanta, and it was full of people from Florida, because that was the closest they came to Florida. This dude broke his leg during the beginning of the whole tour. Not only did he finish that concert that night, he finished the whole tour, because he's the only one that could bring it down. And it was, the tour mates, the road crew, the people that bought the tickets, they were counting on him. And I saw him in Atlanta, it was like 2.5 hours, and he's just killing it. I mean, the energy, it was just so great, as good as any of the concerts. And he's sitting on a damn throne the whole time. I just don't know how many people could have that kind of energy and do that sitting down. He's my provider, and I love him too. So, okay, now we're getting to the idealist. The Page of Cups, INFP, the idealist, the muse within the dream. And that, I picked John Lennon as my court. Now, the Knight of Cups, ENFP, champion, inspirer, savior, the Grail seeker. This one is can be internally conflicted because being a wand, being a, not a wand, he's a knight with fire, but in the suit of idealists, I picked Robin Williams as the champion and inspirer. He's like, when you think of Knight of Cups and Savior and Grail Seeker, I loved him out of all the people with that. The Queen of Cups, INFJ, the Mystic Counselor, depths of the subconscious. We're talking water on water. This is me right here. This is my personality type, which happens to be the most rare. Thank God the world isn't made up of all of us, or we'd be in trouble. But man, when they do make their mark, Stevie Nicks, the Mystic Counselor. So then it brings us to the King of Cups, ENFJ, the Teacher Giver, healing with active compassion. All right. Abraham Lincoln. Put him on there. And I'm going to show the cards again closer when we go through other exercises. The Page of Discs, ISTP, the Craftsman, the Womb of Physical Things. Steve Jobs, the Craftsman. The Knight of Discs, ESTP, the Doer, Stone Guardian. I picked, if you don't know him, you will, Conor McGregor, mixed martial arts. He's got the, featherweight belt, and he's going for the welterweight. And he lost the first fight against, what's his name, and then won the second one. He's the only man that I have paid to see fights, because I just love him and his personality and how bombastic he is. All the knights are on a mission, but being the knight of the earth, he's the one that's most likely to see it through to the end. They all have their different strengths. This one right here, he can get away with the things the other knights can't, just because of his charm, But okay, now we're to the Queen of Discs, which is the ISTJ, the duty fulfiller, that Mother Earth I was talking about. And happens to be Queen Elizabeth, the duty fulfiller. And then the King of Discs, the Guardian, Master of the World. Well, Martha Stewart. This one was harder as far as because the people that were listed with this type, like I love Alec Baldwin, but he doesn't actually personify all the best of that suit. And Michelle Obama's one, but people are so split about how they think about her. I thought Martha Stewart was perfect representation of that. So this is my court cards. Now, as you can see, the pages all are in yellow. The knights are in red, queens purple, and the kings are green. And not everyone agrees with the way I put the elements that way, but I'm going to explain why I put it that way. I don't go by air is masculine, so it can't be pages, because this is gender neutral anyway, or the yin yang of it. To me, if you're going to go as far as a process and stages in a process, it's more of an ebb and flow. It's internal that becomes external, and becomes internal again, and becomes external. And you gain mastery as you go along. So you think it, you have the idea. Pages are messengers and communication. So you think it. And then after a while, you're pushed into knighthood, where you actually have to do it. And you go on your mission and you start. And so it's external. But then you hit things and you learn things and you come across things that you weren't expecting. And you go inward again. You learn how to be more receptive about it. And you learn from these mistakes and you gain authority, but that's from inwardly learning how to be more receptive and deal with these problems that come up. And then it's external again, which is mastery over it. And I put it down here as, okay, internal, pages, messengers, a chance or need to learn and grow. Then you go external with the knights, a call for action that will most likely have a learning curve. Then you go back internal, the queens, a time to reflect and reciprocate, well-earned gain perspective and achievement. And then back to the external with the kings, mastery and accomplishment, a time to enjoy a job well done. Now, again, Pages is air. Messages, risk, think it. Then the Knights, motion, focus, do it. The Queens, influence, maturity, learn from it. The Kings, authority, completion, master it. Now there are some things and some processes, that's all just repeating myself. Let's wait till we get here. There are some processes that, let's say me as a student of tarot, me as a tarot reader, I feel like I'm in the queen stage. I have, I've come very far, and I do feel I have a sense of Anya, who I love. I have her channel. She's like, well, I'm a cocky reader, I know my shit, Yeah, but you're also always learning and growing too. So I don't think I'll ever feel like I'm a king, that I've got kingship in that realm. But let's talk about me making this deck that I want to get out there. I was on the page stage for so long, so many years of gathering information and doing things, till just recently, like we're talking within the past few weeks, I've been pushed into knighthood, where it's time for the things that I have had internal for so long to put them out there. I really feel this need to do that. And I have not hit the queen stage in this. There's so much that I've got to learn and do and grow from. But when it comes to this deck, I do hope to get to the king stage, to hold the physical deck, not just the prototype that I have, but my real deck in my hands. So, going back to the elements. Okay, still, even though I don't put them in a progression and in the way, because a lot of people see pages as earth, but I'll never see pages as earth, because the earth is solid and dense. That's stability, that's where the pages are ideas. So I can understand we all have, the only one we all agree on is the queens. But a lot of people that, when I explain why I do it that way, like, oh, that makes sense. I have a friend that's a deck creator, and his deck, their deck was already being printed, and we were messaging back and forth about this, and they were like, shit, I may need to rethink the next deck, But on a thread, someone said, well, you can't just make up a system and say that this is what it is. Well, okay, first of all, I didn't just make it up. This is like over 2 years of study, and then years of practice. I had everyone I know take the Myers-Briggs test to see if it went with what I had put together, and then the past few years of readings have proven that this works for me. And the second point is, at some point, wasn't it all made up? Any system, somebody came up with it at some point. So, okay, so now we're going to talk about how the elements work together or not. And water and fire, of course, can counterbalance it. How did I put it? So I say it right. Fire and water can weaken each other. Air and earth can weaken each other. So here we've got the wands and the cups, and fire and water. They're well intended, but if not balanced, can be self-servers. Here we've got the swords and the pentacles, the rationalist and guardians, logical but can be cold. They need to be balanced. So we're going to talk about, here I made this little chart where I listed page, knight, queen, king, swords, wands, cups, pentacles, and the elements. So the way I see it, the page is the air of air and exemplifies that suit. And the way it goes, fire of fire, and we'll look at all those, which also means there's ones that are internally conflicted within their suit as personalities and maybe as processes also. Then there's others that can complement each other, and we'll go through those. So first, the ones that are the purest form of their element. That would be the Page of Swords, the air of air. Then the Knight of Wands, fire of fire. Queen of Cups, the Mystic Counselor, water of water. And the Earth of Earth, the King of Pentacles, which we call the Architect, the Performer, the Mystic Counselor, and the Guardian. They feel the most comfortable in their suit because they personify their suit. Now let's look at the ones that are internally conflicted. And we'll start with here. This is the executive. They have a hard time balancing their personal and professional life. You know, they're very strong, but they're internally conflicted. The nurturer protector, which is the Queen of Wands. We talked about Mother Teresa being that perfect example of fire and water. The Knight of Cups, which is the champion inspirer of the idealist. Being an idealist, but being an extroverted perceiver, that causes internal conflict. And same with our craftsman, who is the Page of Discs, but our craftsman of the Guardians in this one. And it's the same thing, being a sensing thinker, but also being that introspective perceiver. It's at odds. Here's two examples. To me, these two examples are people that publicly seem to balance that well. Here, absolutely great men that did great things, but were known for being personally, internally conflicted. Then you've got the ones that complement each other. You've got the Knight of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles, where the Knight of Pentacles can be energizing and the Queen of Pentacles can be nourishing. Within our cups, we've got the idealist, the Page of Cups, but he can get stormy, and the Knight of Cups, he can get swampy, being in that whole realm of cups, being he's like the earth, you know, the teacher grounded. He's a king, but he's in a watery suit, so he can get swampy. Then we've got the Page of Wands and the King of Wands, which they're great, but you need to watch for stability because they're wands and fiery. And then the Knight of Swords and the Queen of Swords. Very, very strong, and that can be for good or for bad. So I'm going to put these back because there's a couple, there's a couple sheets I printed out that I think are kind of fun that will give you an idea. Instead of going like in depth into everyone, you can look up the Myers-Briggs and get as deep into the personality types as you want, or as just surface stereotypical, like the way I'm presenting them today, just to get my idea out there. But this one's funny. Let's do a couple that will kind of support how I did this, and then the last one we'll do, I think, is just funny. So we've got the ISTJ. She loves rules. There's our Queen of Disc, which is the duty fulfiller. Then the polite caretaker is the nurturer, or the Queen of Wands. Popular friendships. That is, oh, no. Grabbed the wrong one. He's the provider, the King of Wands. There's a reason why he's known as the friendliest guy in rock and roll. That boss. Yeah, I could see that. The happy procrastinator. That would be our champion. And then the angsty poet, the idealist. No, Ellie, stop it. The perfectionist humanitarian, which is our mystic counselor. And the personal cheerleader, which is the King of Cups. Makes explosions. The visionary, the Knight of Swords. The absent-minded professor is the architect. The badass mastermind is the mastermind. And world domination, that's the executive. Dramatic spotlight. There's the performer. And the adrenaline junkie is the doer. The quiet explorer is the craftsman. And the observant artist, which is the composer, the Page of Wands. So, let's see. This one was good. The champion has a laugh, funnier than the joke. The mystic counselor stares out the window when their song comes on. Probably has awkward body gestures that makes their jokes so much more hilarious, the teacher giver. knows everything about everyone, the provider. Teachers, professors, and bosses both love and hate you, the doer. True. Stop it. The performer. All right. Makes comments that makes every... Nope, see, that's not the performer. This is a performer. I grabbed the provider. The performer makes comments that makes every head turn. That's the Knight of Wands. The performer. Can chill more than anyone you know. That's the craftsman. The Page of Discs. Seems harsh, but can be very generous for those they care for. The Queen of Wands. The mastermind. The kings and queens of caffeine and ebooks. The idealist. The Page of Cups. Dark and mysterious with surprising kindness. The composer. It's the Page of Wands. ISTJ. The one you can never tell is making a joke or not. The duty fulfiller. Because you're just so serious. INTP. Always struggling when they actually know. Always shrugging when they actually know. What's the answer? I don't know. But they do. It's the architect. ISFJ. This is so true. Not Jimmy Carter, not you, but my best friend. Simultaneously the most stubborn and passive person ever. The nurturer. Queen of Wands. That water and fire, man. And will one day sleep on a bed of gold bars. The executive. Color-coded everything. The guardian. Yes. And the last one, the visionary. Seems indifferent, but is passionate about so much. Visionary. So the last one that I'm going to do is one that I just thought was really funny. You can look them up and there's like tons of these. But this is, sorry, you have to die, and how they would act. So the ENTJ. Unfortunately for you, you have to die. Now hurry up and don't dawdle. You're not the only one I have to kill today. The executive. The mastermind. I cannot comprehend why someone hasn't executed you yet. The Queen of Swords. The mastermind. The visionary. If you need killing, let's test my new Executor 4000 to see how evenly your body fries. There's our Knight of Swords. The architect. What a cool guillotine. So, ENFP. Okay, here's the champion, which would be the Knight of Cups. Hey, pretty one over there, go kill that guy for me, please. The INFP. I'm so very sorry to hear that. Hey, look, a butterfly. The idealist. He's off. The ENFJ. We'd like to execute you, if that's all right with you. Is now a good time for you? The giver, teacher. The mystic counselor. The Queen of Cups. Your execution will teach others a valuable lesson. The ESTJ. I've checked the local statutes and spoken to the authorities to ensure your execution can go forward as planned. The Guardian. The ISTJ. I have completed and filed all the paperwork for your execution. The Duty Fulfiller. The Doer. That's a shame, buddy. But hey, I hear your jailer's a real looker. Don't suppose you could get her number for me before you die. That's funny. And the Craftsman. Damn it, I told you I wanted to know about this sooner so I could do a test run on the new firing squad guns I ordered. Then we get to the Wands. ESFP, the Performer. We can do it with a pirate theme. I'll get the balloons. The ISFP. I'm going to make a collage in your memory. The Composer. The the Provider, ESFJ. Oh, we can all go out for dinner for your last meal. You like burgers, and I hear there's a great place just down the street. And then, when it makes me laugh, because this would be my best friend, the Nurturer. I promise to look after your children. So, there are my quirks. Oh, there was one other thing that I didn't go over when it's talking about. I saw something who they are the most compatible with and least compatible with, and it turned out like, okay, let's take the architect here. He's most compatible with someone within his function, but has different, where he's the introverted perceiver and she is the extroverted judger, they still have the same function, so they get along. But it's harder to get along. Who would have known? Einstein and Prince might not have got along because they're both introverted perceivers, and that could actually end up clashing. Plus, they have completely separate functions. You know, an intuitive thinker and a sensing feeler. So, and now you could do that with any of the cards, and for the least likely and most likely to be compatible. Then you've got your just complete opposites, and that would be me and my husband. I am INFJ, the Mystic Counselor, Queen of Cups. He is ESTP, the Doer, and he is the Knight of Pentacles. It would be like Conor McGregor and Stevie Nicks going out. I mean, it's either chaos or magic, and well, actually it ends up being chaos magic, and I love it. So that's it. That's my quartz. If you have any questions, if you want me to do further videos to go more in depth, I'd be happy to do that. But I just wanted to get this out there as succinctly as I could, and hopefully I was able to do that. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys again soon. See ya.